Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the final episode of Decorate With Me, where we covered all of the wonderful balls, parties, and soirees from the first season of Bridgerton. This is the grand finale. We're doing everything as luxe as we want, and I'm pleased to share that the inspiration is the Hastings ball. It's the ball that Daphne and Simon host together. It's their very first one. It's in the very last episode. We see lots of preparation happening, and I think it's a really interesting. I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff happening storyline wise in the episode, let alone in this particular ball. But what I love about it is it's such a unique moment in the show's timeline, because if we look here, what do you see besides the greenery, which let's say that's neutral, black and white, again, fairly neutral. We see that in a lot of the balls. We see a lot of the blue hydrangea, the blue roses, and that is closer to Daphne's family colors than Simon's. So kind of an interesting little tidbit there. Beyond the color palette that's happening here, there's a lot going on that we see. We see this beautiful greenery growing up the, I'm assuming castle at this point. There's cascading just vines, garlands everywhere. And we see a few other things that I think are really interesting. Blue roses, which I've seen a lot of roses. I've never seen blue roses that are real, that weren't altered. So that's interesting. So there's that element of, I suppose, fantasy. But we also see the staff carrying out the croquembouche, which is the kind of like the cream puff towers. We see silver serving trays. I'm assuming a punch bowl in silver. I can't tell what this is. It looks like a tiered something or other. We see, I'm assuming, crates of wine or champagne. And when we see the buffet tables, we only see them very briefly in the background, but it's kind of, it makes me think of maybe like 80s, 90s weddings where they had a lot of the scalloped gathered fabrics on the tables. We see kind of that here with like a cream over an ivory with some vines. But it's interesting, we see gold and silver both used in the display. And then in this moment here, when the guests have arrived, the party is in full swing. We have beautiful, beautiful chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. But besides those as the impact piece, for all intents and purposes, the surroundings of the castle as it is the decor. It's beautiful, it's lush greenery, and it's really green, blue, and white here. Taking this as our inspiration, the colors for this week that we're going to keep on our color palette, which is where we tend to like to focus our colors. Not that we have to keep to them strictly, but this is where a lot of our focus is going to be, is an ivory cream, because we see both creams and straight ivories, maybe even white. It's hard to tell. The blue, again, it's a lighter blue. I found products that are listed as dusty blue or slate blue because it does kind of have those cooler tones in it. So when if you're trying to match colors, definitely think about other names for that color that you might be looking for. And the green, I mean, we've got boxwood, we've got ivy, so just lush greens. This is a wedding extravaganza inspired by the Hastings ball. Planning on making sure you guys understand what parts you could DIY, what parts you might need to bring in some help, because this is definitely not for the faint of heart if you're going to DIY this. And as with all of my Decorate With Me boards that I've put together, all of the products that I find all over the internet are all linked down below. So if you do see something that catches your eye and you want to use at your own party, wedding, soiree, whatever, you absolutely can find the exact ones that I use, so you don't have to go hunting for them. This whole party is focused around this incredible dance floor where there's rigged chandeliers hanging from, in this instance, we don't see what they're hanging from, but as a professional, we know that there's rigging probably going on. But if you weren't in a position to have your venue rig chandeliers like this, because one, not all venues allow rigging, two, not all venues can support rigging, and three, it can be very expensive to have rigging done, let alone beautiful chandeliers like these brought in. What you might be able to do is talk to your local decor company and talk to them about doing something like this over the dance floor. And let me show you how you can recreate a similar look without having professional rigging done. You might need professionals, but you might not need the formal inside venue to do it. So what we see here is pipe and base kits, and you can, if you use the right attachments, you can turn them into four-sided structures, perfect for cabana like things, tents, all sorts of different things. Now, if you again have the right tools, and I don't recommend this if you haven't done this before because safety is important here, but professionals know how to rig chandeliers, floral, etc. across structures like this, and they should have the right tools to hang beams essentially across in multiple spots, and that way you can create kind of crossbars within here where you can hang chandeliers like these. Now these chandeliers I love because one, they're white, two, they're crystal, and they're just beautiful. Now something else I wanted to point out here is, I don't know if you noticed, but we can tell here in this close-up that the floor is in fact got a marble finish on it, which means it was a custom wrap. And we can even see, if we look at the aerial view, it's not even a regular square dance floor. It's a special shape. Now that might be a little bit trickier, but your local dance company or dance floor rental company might be able to help you with that. But either way, if you were going to go this route, you can ask for a custom wrap. It's sometimes called a vinyl wrap, custom wrap, whatever you want. And the dance floor company can make, I don't want to say whatever you want, but they should be able to come up with a checkered board look with marble pattern on it, which is really great. And that just adds that extra little bit of extra fanciness, because then it's not like a black and white dance floor, which gets used in a lot of different settings, but having that marble finish is going to make it look a little extra fancy. In a dance floor like this, which is going to be your focal piece, that wow moment, I opted for some light, airy drapes. These are sheer drapes, and really they're going to be bunched up, so it doesn't have to be high quality or anything like that, but we want to cover the pole. If you're hiring somebody to do this for you, make sure you talk to them about how they hide the mechanics, because we don't, you're paying all this money, you want it to look professional, right? So what else do we have on here? Well, lots of greenery. So I have this type, I think these are grape leaf green garlands that, again, you're probably not doing, but your decor company might be doing. And you can string these across one side to the other of your structure. So however big your structure is. Now, if for some reason you were like, hey, Alessandra, I want to do this and I can make this structure myself with the pipe and base kits, which you can. Very, very easy to do, is not really hard. It gets tricky when you're suspending the chandeliers because they're so heavy and there's electricity flowing. But if you said, hey, I don't know that I want to do the chandelier part, but I do like the greenery up top, how can I do that? So you're going to need to get lots and lots of vines, do some math, see where that takes you in regards to how many vines you're going to need. And I encourage you to do the math ahead of time so you're not finding out the hard way the day of or the day before. But if it were me and I wasn't doing the chandeliers, I would take clear fishing line, like really strong clear fishing line, and just run it back and forth a whole bunch, because it's going to disappear as soon as you get any sort of ambient light going. And as you're using silk vines, those don't weigh much. So you can use that to guide the ivy garlands or whatever type of greenery garlands you're using. That will help guide them across and keep them looking nice and neat and supporting them at the same time, because then you won't have to worry about anything drooping or dragging. Now, I like to layer, so I'm using multiple types of greenery in here. And now obviously I'm making this rendition with my whatever I can do in PowerPoint, so graphics are limited here, but you get where we're going. We're layering the textures and the greenery, and then just for a little extra dazzling effect, not going to be able to see it well here, but we have a white rose garland with just roses every so often just peeking through up here. And I think if you put those in last, it's going to look spectacular, especially if you take the rose garland and you just lightly let it kind of drape down, maybe wrap around the poles or something, just as a nice cascade. You're going to have a really, really beautiful dance floor that is going to be your statement wow focal piece in a wedding situation. Now, I'm telling you this because I designed this with the idea of it being in a dance floor situation, right? But what if you were like, hey, I only have so much in my budget, or the venue I have only has so much space. Well, how can we make this work for a wedding? Like, how can we get the most out of this? Well, honestly, this could easily be your wedding altar, and that could be where you get married underneath this canopy of gorgeous crystals and ivy. And then depending on how your venue and layout is set up, this is also where your reception is, so you can go right into essentially reception party mode. So this could be a very expensive install, but it could be very, very helpful for you, depending on where your budget falls, how everything breaks down. And I just kind of played with some different backgrounds just to see what I thought, how it looked. And honestly, this is super, super cool. And it's a very unique combination with the blues and greens plus the black and white for a wedding. So very, very unique. So with the focal taken care of, let's talk tablescapes, because at a wedding, regardless if it's a big wedding, a small wedding, your guests spend a lot of time at their tables because, let's be honest, receptions have everything from the mom talking, the dad talking, the other mom talking, the other dad talking, the best friend, the random uncle, the drunk guy, and the DJ. And so you're spending a lot of time at your table. So it's important that the tables look nice. So we've already established that the ambiance for this is very beautiful blues, creams, ivories, greens, lots of floral, kind of that garden influence. So the first part of the Tablescape collection is the high-end one, right? This is the one that you're going to bring in the pros for. You're going to use rentals. You're not going to do anything yourself, but you're going to point and say, yes, that's good. So this linen is really a few linens that we see here. There's a white overlay with these beautiful florals, white overlay with lots of beautiful florals. And then I believe this is the same blue, just in different lighting here. But it's a blue, kind of a slate blue underlay or base tablecloth that is helping make that contrast look beautiful. And again, I will link all of these down below. These are rentals from BBJ Linens, and they do ship nationwide last time I checked. And I've used their products for many, many years as a professional, and they're really great quality. You definitely get what you pay for with them. And so these are the two linens up close. Now, do you need to have a premium underlay tablecloth? Not really. It's really mostly, it depends on the type of overlay that you're using and what makes sense for your budget and the look you're going for. But it does have a nice texture. So if you wanted to do, let's say, all of your tables in this kind of slate blue and then only have some of the tables with the overlay on them as a cost savings thing, so not everything was covered, that could be really helpful for the bottom line in the budgeting. But I really like this combination, and I could not ask for a better pairing for this look. Now, I'm using just pictures of silk florals because I know some of you like to DIY your centerpieces, and so I'm sharing the DIY method that I would go down. Obviously, if you're contracting a florist, you're welcome to share these with her and have them tackle it. Keeping a combination of blue hydrangeas, ivy, some cream roses, some ivory roses, and then just some little tiny floral that's a little foliage, a little floral, just for that texture that we need, that diversity that really makes things look magical and beautiful. That's kind of what I'm going for as I recreate this. So we have this fantastic close-up from the episode of some of the florals, and we can see that they mixed white, cream, but tiniest little bit of pink, it looks like, and the blue hydrangea. And so I made my own runner with just bunches of roses. Just kind of like that they're I liked the clustered look for this because to me it made me think of the rose bushes that we see in the inspiration with the roses kind of clustered together. So I think if you spread these out and kind of fan them and mix some greenery in so it looks more like a bush than a bouquet, it's going to look super, super pretty. And then just to match everything up, I used a beautiful milk glass charger with a simple delicate gold rim, also from BBJ. And this is just keeping in mind that like you're probably going to run everything from them, right, when you do this. So coordinating napkin and then a table cup for cocktail hour if you're doing that, or you want cocktail tables near the dance floor for people to just put your drink down for a minute. So that's kind of my top luxe look. We're going to have a crazy floral runner, premium linens. You're probably not lifting a finger to do this. This is all coming in with pros to set up. Now, what would be like maybe the next middle kind of ground that we're looking at? Well, something like this. So I found this tablecloth online, and you could buy this tablecloth. You do not need to rent it. It's a slate blue. They make them in so many different shapes and sizes, so there's a good chance you can find it. It's not floor length, but you will get that layered look if you put a white floor length tablecloth underneath it, which most venues typically have a white or ivory. And it sort of, because of the pattern on it, it does sort of resemble this premium look. The more accessible option, and this is if for some reason you're doing like a smaller reception, like a more intimate reception maybe, where you don't have as much line of sight problems, or maybe you're turning this into like a dinner party, this white tabletop candelabra is perfect. It's white, it's got the candles, it's got the hanging crystals, and it's simple and elegant enough for its statement without being too crazy over the top, which I think is impressive, because even looking at the chandeliers that we see here, they're not crazy over the top. Like mine are mine are more over the top than theirs, but they're beautiful and elegant and classic, and I think you can get the same type of effect with this look, especially when you have the white kissing balls or ivory or cream kissing balls with the roses up top, just for that extra finesse. And then of course LED candles. Oh my gosh, safety, safety, safety. So this could be a very, very easy thing for you to DIY, or your local florist. This might be something, or they might have something similar that they can do already. Now, what else would go on this table? So this is where I was like, okay, are we DIYing this? Are we bringing in the pros for this? And this could kind of go a few different ways. This silver beaded charger, everybody and their mother has, at least here locally in Florida. It's a very common rental piece. Silverware. Now, silverware and glassware, that's where you start adding on that extra dollar or dollars when you're renting. So not everybody, not all areas have it available, but it's definitely worth asking around, because you'd be surprised how many rental companies collect vintage pieces or have really interesting collections that are more statement pieces that are definitely unexpected. You know, in this situation, classic white napkin with a nice fold I think goes a long way. But if you didn't want to do the folds, because let's say you're DIYing it yourself, I liked this simple silver leaf napkin ring. Like, you could just roll the napkin really nicely and put it in there and it would be beautiful. So this is one of those, you could DIY it, you could get it done professionally. It's kind of in a gray area. There's no wrong answer. Let's start with the next tablescape. We're starting big, and we're starting with the focal piece of this tablescape. So I am obsessed with these trees. Shop Wild Things has several tree bases that you see here. A couple of different shapes and sizes and configurations, but what happens with these trees is you can buy them like this, ready to go. Beautiful cream rose finish on it. But let's say you used it and you were like, meh, I don't know if I need cream for something else, but I need blue for something else, like what we see in these blue roses here. Like, I don't know if they're using the same branches that these guys make at Shop Wild Things, but it looks awfully close to me. So you could take these branches out, these cream branches, and you could put the blue branches in. And now, obviously, from like a photo editing point of view, I can't really do that super easy. So I just layered the blue over the cream. So that's why I was a little crazy. But you could make whatever combination of branches and colors and whatever that you wanted. And I just think that is just the coolest thing. You can do so much, so much. And if you think you're somebody who wants to decorate a lot, this is really great because you only have to have one tree base and you can just switch out the branches and you don't have to store multiple trees. So cool. All right, so I'm done fangirling here. This blue tree, essentially blue rose tree, it's got kind of it's a mix of like a rose and kind of a cherry blossom, which is why we kind of have that weeping effect. That is about a 5-foot tree, depending on how it fluffs out and you put the branches in there. So you probably don't want them just on the ground in this situation because it might interrupt line of sight. But you can put them on your table. And if you do this if you do the branches and set the tree up ahead of time, it is so easy. You literally just pick it up and put it on the table and voila, it's done. No fussing with floral or fresh floral or water or anything. I, again, want to cover our bases here. So we have a green mat. Shop Wilding sells them in a lot of different finishes. I like a classic boxwood. Cut a little hole in the middle so the tree trunk can go around it, or maybe you get a few of them and cut it however, whatever works for you. And that's all you got to do. And this is a white damask tablecloth, floor length. Definitely, I have the link if you wanted to buy it yourself. It's down below. If you wanted to rent it, it's not that uncommon of a print. There's a lot of them out there. So whatever makes sense for you and for your look. But I think it's just a little bit more of a classic, formal look. So this could literally be the base of your table. And then all you have to do is the extras. And in this instance, a silver mercury glass with just a little bit of a hurricane shape, because I think that curve is kind of more appropriate and organic than some of the more rigid looks. A slate blue napkin with just it's just a unique fold. It's a simple envelope fold, a little pearl accent on it just for decorations. And then this is a blue, gold, and ivory charger. It's an acrylic charger, but again, it's got that nice kind of organic scalloped finish for it. And this table is done. I mean, once the plates get on it, the bread basket, the salt, pepper, the glasses and stuff, it's going to be a pretty full table. And that tree is going to really be the highlight. Now, if this is a nighttime function and you want to get extra fancy, you can hang some LED candles for it. But I really want, in this instance, the lighting to be focused on the beautiful chandeliers hanging over the dance floor. So that's why I prefer to keep the candlelight towards the bottom in a more traditional sense. Okay, so let's talk maybe fresh floral, something you want to try yourself, really small scale, really easy. This is where my head's going with it. And again, I'm using examples with silk flowers in case you wanted to try silks instead of fresh. So bear with me graphic wise. But we do have this brief moment where we see them getting ready to set up the ball, and the maid is carrying a little, it's a little urn, a little compote bowl, and we see the blue hydrangeas, we see some ivy, we see just little peaks of, I'm assuming this looks like a cream hydrangea. I think there's some little baby roses mixed in we saw. And so a little compote jar like this, or vase, can go a long way. And I swear, I'm like looking at this, I'm like, did they just buy everything from Shop Wild Things for this party? Because, man, there's a lot of stuff that's awfully similar. But the reason this is a lot bigger than what this is. I know it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. So this little vase is about I think it's like 4.5 inches or so tall. So it's not super big. So it's perfect for a low, simple centerpiece, DIY, or if you needed to talk to your florist, have them do it. That's totally fine too. But what's great about it is it's small, and you can get floral, fresh or faux, to go in it. Will not take up a lot of floral, even if you had an overfilled one like what I did, because more is more for me. Even if you scaled it down, you still wouldn't need that much floral, so the cost keeps on the lower end. But you could leave these on the table just as is and put some votives around it, or you can spruce up the centerpiece and add more to it in another way. So let me show you. So if you know that this is about a 4-inch, 4.5-inch tall vase, you probably figure you have about, let's just say, as much floral in it, height-wise, just because you're trying to make it look more voluminous. You get a lot of greenery or whatever. You can add 6-inch or 8-inch clear cylinders around it, and I like to work in 3, so I chose to opt for a trio, and put some simple floating candles in there. I recommend an ivory floating candle, but whatever suits your fancy there. In this instance, I specifically had an ivory tablecloth here that we're seeing, and I'm making this a little bigger so it's a little easier for everyone to see, but we're seeing here, we have the tablecloth with the same kind of dusty blue, slate blue, but in a satin finish. So this is an overlay, very inexpensive to purchase if you were doing that route. If you wanted to use house linens, ivory, cream, white, most of those, one of those is usually almost always on the offering board. So very, very easy. This could be a beautiful look. And then to make it look a little extra fancy, white charger, same one as this one, just a different color palette. So this is more white. So in this table, you theoretically could have cream and ivory at the same time. And then you might have noticed that I do have a pop of blue here with this kind of really deep, rich navy blue. And I realize that we don't have navy anywhere else, but I really just think it would add that drama to this table and could be really cool. So let's just take a minute. We covered a lot of tablescapes and we're not even done yet. I'm looking at the rest of the lineup and I'm so excited. Now, this wouldn't be a wedding without at least a cake table, cake stand. We're going to need a buffet. We're going to need a photo booth, and all of that is coming. But my mind is always interested to see what sort of dessert buffets are being shared. And that's true for weddings or parties or showers or whatever. I swear it seems like dessert buffets are just non-stop popular and everybody's always trying to one-up each other with how cool the display is. Whatever your focal dessert of choice is, having a nice tablecloth like this one with the print, the damask print that we saw earlier, but in that slate blue, so it's nice and focused, and it's going to catch your eye, but more importantly, it's going to make your cake pop, right? Like we don't want to, I highly advise not putting a white or ivory or cream tablecloth with your cake if you're doing a white wedding cake, because it's just going to get lost and it's going to make the photos really challenging for your photography group. So we got a blue tablecloth is the point we're making here. And again, because we mix silver and gold in the photos that we saw, I think mixing silver and gold here is going to be great and it could be really interesting. So I have this beautiful silver, it's a metal cake stand. It's a little bit of a riser, not too high, not too low, but I think it's really beautiful, especially with the detailing. I can see it being very cohesive. And then this pearl finish, I think it's a stainless steel, but it's a silver set. It's a cake cutting set, very pretty. And then on Etsy, I just found these cute, they're custom cake toppers, and I just thought, oh, if you're really really trying to do a Bridgerton themed party, wedding, whatever, this could be a really cute option, whether it's for the groom's cake or the main cake. It's just a nice little touch, and it's a unique little thing. But I think as far as cake table goes, this is going to be really cute. So let's talk the dessert table. Now, is this the dessert table? Is this the dessert spread? Is it the buffet? Whatever you want to call it, I'm cool with. We're just going for the buffet decor in general. So there's a lot going on here, so let's break this down. I like seeing the tablecloths that are fitted for buffets. Now obviously they have the ones that are the table skirts that everybody's seen that's kind of scalloped. That's fine. I just like the fitted look. I think it's a little bit more clean, but I like the fitted look because I found a slate blue table runner, and you could see this is what it looked like, and then I edited it here a little bit, but that's going to help add that pop of color for us. And I want to make sure there's floral on every table we do. And buffets are all about creating visual interest and keeping everything at different heights and elevations to keep your eye traveling and curious about what confectionery genius is going to find next. And so one way you can do that easily is putting a tall vase with very tall flowers in it. And you might notice that when you go to buffets out, like fancy buffets, that's something you might see. They put very big floral arrangements usually on the buffet display, and there's a reason. So in this instance, we have a glass hurricane vase with blue delphinium stems and just some, they're white cream, but with like the faintest hit of pink right here, the cherry blossom branches. And I thought, you can make a really lovely arrangement with this, but we're not going to leave the stems exposed like that. We're going to fill the jar with these, it's pearl confetti, what are they called? Pearl confetti vase fillers, and there's a third one that they go with. And you fill, and they come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors. This is a great way to hide the silk stems, or if there's just a lot of empty negative space there that you don't really want to be. This is really a fun way, and more importantly, you could reuse these forever. Nothing happens to them. So it also looks a little extra fancy, I think, with the pearls. And I'm going to, bear with me, I know it looks crazy. I tried to make the runner a little bit more full so you could get a sense of what we're doing, but it gets better. We also, you see this little boxwood vine here. I did that because we have little trailings of, it's probably ivy, but can't really tell from these pictures, but there's little greenery clusters here. And I thought having some greenery around and down the table is going to look really nice, especially with the blue and white. It's going to pop and it's going to help bring some texture to the table. So what are we putting our desserts on besides, our beautiful wedding cake? I opted for the gold route on the dessert table just for cohesiveness purposes. And so we see a lot of texture here. We see kind of like a filigree type finish with these cake stands, with the tiered cupcake stands, with these platters. And this one, this little gumdrop, whatever cake tiered stand is the only one without the filigree finish, but I thought it looked a little bit nicer because it had a nice handle, and that way we have some round, some square, and then of course our macaroon tower, which is a statement piece all on its own. And we see these in, I don't want to say every ball, but a lot of the balls in Bridgerton have a macaroon tower or a croquembouche, which is the cream puff version of it. And even here we see a cake stand, and this cake stand is very similar. We have, there are plenty of them available with the hanging crystals, but this is just a beautiful arrangement here. So that's why we've got a beautiful setup here. And so let me show you what it looks like all put together. Now, something like this, I think, is going to be very darling, and I think everybody's going to ooh and ah over it, because having the right setup makes your desserts look 10 times better. I swear, presentation makes such a big difference. These products are linked below, so if you wanted to DIY this, you absolutely have access to the same ones that I was referencing here. And then if you are DIYing this and maybe there's going to be kids coming, or you don't want to buy china or rent china or whatever, there's options like this set here. It's plastic, it's disposable, it's got a very beautiful golden white finish to it, but they have literally everything you can need for a party. Some plastic champagne glasses with that gold rim on it. Makes you feel fancy without breaking the bank. And at the end of the night, no dishes, and you just throw them out, or hopefully recycle them depending on where you live. But this is the makings of a really, really great dessert spread. And so we're not done yet. We still need a photo moment here. And we kind of have a photo moment within a photo moment, because we have the Duke and Duchess's portrait being on display for the first time, which is a really big deal for that era. And we have, it's kind of like it's already framed in a frame, but then we're also kind of getting framed by this grand staircase with all of the weeping vines and ivy and everything, and it's just beautiful. And you guys have seen me use boxwood greenery walls before, you know that they're very easy to DIY. You just get the panels, you put them on a pipe and base kit, and it turns into this. I mean, well, it looks better than this when you do it, but this is what the graphics at least look like for me. So I found also on Shop Wild Things website that they have this beautiful, it's kind of like a cherry blossom, but it's got the hydrangea blooms, but it's just a beautiful cascading blue garland. And I thought, this is really perfect. It has that natural kind of weeping look that we see here. And so just creating a simple backdrop with just the greenery wall and then the blue is going to make it look really gorgeous. We have our dance floor. Check. We have our photo booth. If you wanted to have props, I would get a copy of the Lady Whistledown papers. You can get the printable on Etsy. Super, super fun. And tablescapes. We've got super high-end tablescapes. We've got kind of like middle of the ground tablescapes that you could do. We got very easy DIY tablescapes, and then super easy, like very small scale DIYs that you could do with fresh or floral or fresh or faux floral. So really, I mean, everything from high to medium and even like closer on a lower end from a cost point of view. We have a great cake table. We have a great buffet spread for desserts. I mean, we really have everything. And if you don't have everything here, DM me and let me know. And there's a good chance that I already have it bookmarked on my Bridgerton ball whole Pinterest board. I have a whole Pinterest board dedicated to all things Bridgerton, soiree, party decor, all that type of stuff. So if you think you're missing something for a look like this, you're always welcome to DM me on Instagram, probably the best way to get a hold of me, and I will help you find it. Okay, friends. Well, thank you so much for decorating with me again. My name is Alessandra. I hope you had a good time. We've been here for a while, so if you made it this long, I appreciate you for staying around. And if you need help, like I said, DM me, but I will be uploading the mood board version. So the no talking, just audio mood boards. It's usually about a minute long. Those will be posting, and you can share those with your local rental company, your designer, whoever's doing your decor. So if you have elements you need to share quickly, that's the best way to share it. And of course, I'm pinning on Pinterest, so if you need just the still graphic, I'll have that up too very soon. But for now, let's just get excited for season 2 of Bridgerton. I will absolutely be continuing this series for season 2. The trailers look incredible. That team, I mean, they already did a good job, but season 2, just for what we saw in the trailers, whew, that's going to be a doozy in the best way possible. So, make sure you're subscribed. You're not going to want to miss what we are making for season 2. All right, friends, thanks for watching. Until next time.